hear the words a lot around this election about this existential threat. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, what does that even mean, right? And so I actually went to look up the definition of existential, and it is what it sounds like, that the question of the existence of an entity is at stake. And I really do actually believe that is in fact what is before us in 2016 in the country and within both of the political parties in terms of what direction we're going to move forward. And the fundamental question around the existence is the existence of America, is America going to be a white country, or is it going to be a multiracial country?
Yo, what's going on, y'all? I want to thank everybody for episode number 24 of this podcast. I know we took a bit of a hiatus for a minute, but we're back. As always, from week to week, it's your boy coming to you live. And everybody knows about the election, right? Even though it took longer than a fight scene on Dragon Ball Z, the election is finally over. Thank God. Well, I'll put it this way: it's over for everybody except the Trump campaign, because I guess they got their own special thing going on over there. But apparently they didn't get the memo. So we have our president-elect Joe Biden and our vice president-elect Kamala Harris. They'll be sworn in January. But today we're going to talk about the impact of race on the election, or is there an impact at all? And we have three of our panelists here. And before we get started, I'll go ahead and let them tell you who they are. Well, yeah, take it away. Anybody can start. Don't be shy.
Hi, Facebook. I'm Tracy. Glad to join this podcast. Anyone that knows me knows I've been following this election forever. So this will be very interesting.
Everybody, I'm Mike. I don't podcast, I don't live stream, I don't do any of that stuff. But I'm here and looking forward to some good conversation.
What's up, everybody? Alvin Staley, your resident clown. Everybody that's got to do with politics. So looking forward to a very fun and wholesome conversation about the politics and all that other stuff. And forever to thee. And I'm drinking.
Man, already you got 2 strikes against you. A, you're drinking out of Gamecock cup. And B, you're a Sigma. So
can't win.
Hey, y'all, podcast over. We got to cut this off right now. All right, so I want to thank y'all for joining me, man. And yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So, in your personal opinion, and there's no particular order, so get in with fit in, just speak your piece, say whatever you want. This is your safe space. Do you think that race has an impact on politics? What are your thoughts on that?
I do. To me, that's a given, because especially we'll say this election, because you had 2 white men running for president, then you had an African American woman, South Asian woman running as well. So of course, race plays a part in it, because race plays a part in our daily living. So it couldn't help but play a part in this election.
Okay, that's fair.
I think race plays a part in it, because when it all comes down to it, when we take a look at the news, we always hear these words: the African American vote, the Hispanic vote, this and the third vote, or middle-aged white man, where they vote. I think race, not to say how, I don't know how much it plays into it, but it plays a factor, because black folks, if we vote one way, then you're going to be chastised from black folks on the other side. So race plays a part.
Yeah,
And Mike,
like-
you're speaking on behalf of white America, so take it away.
all right, a lot of pressure on me. No, Alvin's right. I mean, you hear a lot about, the minority vote. Where's the non-white vote going? And I think it does play a big impact. I've got some statistics. I don't want to pull those up right now, but just my own personal opinion. Just when you look at everything and you look at racial tensions in the country right now, I think this year alone, this past year, has played a huge impact on Biden getting the victory. And seeing more. I mean, definitely there's more non-white votes this year than there ever has been before. So, yeah, I think it definitely plays an impact.
Okay. Yeah, all good perspectives. And it's I don't know. It's like when we think about like Democrats and Republicans, it's almost like that is the new race divide almost. You know what I'm saying? So it's I personally don't understand it. I don't really like to identify as Democrat or Republican, although in every single election I voted in since I was 18 years old, I've always voted Democrat. So I guess by default, I'm automatically a Democrat. But it's definitely a different climate that we're dealing with. What I do want to ask though, and this is something that is when we look at the history of this country, we go through slavery, we went through Jim Crow, we going through the Rodney King, issue. Race has always played a major role in a lot of historical events. Now, this is 2020. You think that by now we would have progressed to the point where race would really no longer matter to that extent? So do you guys think that we have regressed as a nation, or do you think that there's progress being made?
I think progress is being made, definitely. I look back to, I've always thought, my generation, I'm 31 years old. I always thought my generation would be the generation to end racism. And might not be quite looking like that right now, but I can say it's definitely improved. I think we're heading in the right direction. I think Trump, in his ways, things he said, I think that only fueled those of us who were against that to do more and to be more positive and to be more, encouraging, and to not be, the people I talk to who are opposed to Trump and opposed to the things he's done, the racist remarks and the the negativity. We don't respond negatively to it. A lot of his supporters, they want to get an argument with you. They want you to argue with them, and I don't do that. I stick to facts and I stick to my beliefs, and I don't argue. Like, they want to fight, I'm not going to give it to them. I just respond with with love and passion, and that's my approach. Because they want to bait you, they want to pull you in, and they want to divide you. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that. The ones that are on our side, and they're not buying into it. So I think we're going in the right direction, honestly.
Okay.
I kind of disagree with that. At one time, I thought we were going in the right direction, but now it's like we're regressing, because you look at it now, speaking as an African American, and I mean, with us, I feel it's not getting any better, because the things that are happening in our nation now are the same things that happened to our ancestors. So how are we progressing if the same things are happening? So in certain areas, yeah, the world is going forward. But when it comes to race and division, I feel the world is going backwards. And honestly, my opinion is it didn't get like that until Trump got into office. People, to me, got I don't know. It's just like, because Trump is just this man that, to me, promotes racism. So the people that follows him or the people that love him, they feel that they can do anything as well because they have Trump behind him. He's the president. Nothing is going to happen to me because this is my leader. I'm thinking how he's thinking. When you see President Trump and he's speaking about an African American is standing by him, he said, "This is my African American. I'm not your African American." So when you say my African American, to me, that's racist. That takes me back to slavery, like you own me. You don't own me. So with him making comments like that, and then with, you know, just the things that happened with George Floyd, it happened before George Floyd, but it took that one person to really make the world wake up. And for him just not to do anything, you had other officials, government officials, you had police chiefs, people in power that were kneeling with African Americans that felt just terrible for this man and his family. But Trump just blew it off. So how can you be a leader of a country when we all are under your leadership and you have no regards for how an African American feel? You have no regards when you're in a debate with your opponent. You tell these white supremacists to stand back, hold up, wait to see what happens. To me, I mean, he has made things worse. I've seen people just change. Is when Obama was in president, not even Obama. I don't like mentioning Obama because they always say we go back to Obama. Any president before Trump, I felt we were going in the right direction. But Trump has set us back. And I'm glad he didn't win because I feel like, how would the next 4 years be? I have a son that's in college. And of course, he goes to PWI. So my thing is, okay, do I really want my baby there? Under Trump's leadership? Because some people that listen to Trump, follow Trump, they may do anything. They think it's okay to kill blacks because they're going to get away with it. They don't get prosecuted. They don't get whatever. So progression was there, but right now I feel we have regressed.
I think our country, in a way, and this is just me, I don't know if anybody's going to agree with it. The country was already dealing with race issues already. Race issues go back as far as we can all remember. So we were already dealing with race issues. The bad part about it is that when this man became the president, those race issues basically started taking steroids, started getting bigger. What happens when you take steroids? Your body starts to deteriorate a little bit. What deteriorated was our care for each other. So when you've already got a racial problem and you don't have a leader that's saying, yo, I need to try to fix this problem, instead of you kind of, what's the saying? You pour gasoline into a fire. Corny Donaldson basically just said what I'm getting to. Kind of normalize inhumanity. And when you do something like that, and I can't just point the finger at white people. I'd be wrong if I said some of us black folks, we were wrong as well. But when it all boils down to it, you're the commander in chief commander of all this and all of those stuff. Your job is to bring this country together. Basically, when you're not being watched, you're being watched. And there was never a moment that came out and he was like, yo, I need to do better. I need to try to bring these people together. It was always, well, the liberals this, Democrats this, Republicans this, conservatives this. It was never we. It was always they, you, I this, I that. It was never we. And especially for black folks, we're already disenfranchised as it is. Also, when it comes to black women, for example, he's at a press conference. he tells a black reporter, that's an ugly question. Nah, man, she just being real with you.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's already bad enough we got racism as it is, but it's even worse when the guy who sits at the White House is basically using that to feed his followers. I mean, when you do that, you divide, you add on to the division that we already have. Now I will give him this credit. He said, and people, and if anybody wants to fact check it, please feel free to, because I seen him what he said. He said I didn't divide this country. He said Barack Obama didn't divide this country. He said this country was already divided, which he was right. But you didn't do a damn thing to bring it back together. So when you don't do that, you're part of the problem. So this is why I agree with Tracy, where we've, as a country that's supposed to be the United States of America, we have regressed to third world type shit. And I don't know if nobody else wants to accept that. That's where we were, because last Saturday people were dancing in the streets as if a dictator just got his ass walked out of his castle. If you're a president, leaving the White House, is that the legacy you want people dancing in the street? If I'm president, I want somebody to say, oh, hooray, hooray, we got a new president. Cool. But if you're dancing in the streets as if you just slayed the dragon, that says a whole lot about your legacy. And as a people, we regret, as a country, I think as a country, and I guess wealth and whatever, I think we okay. But as a country, as people that should stick together and help each other out, man, we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to some of these countries. That's why I definitely agree with what Tracy said.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys comment. And I want to touch on some of the things you guys mentioned. I'm gonna put my glasses on first because I'm blind. But a couple things. And I think it was Tracy who said it. You said you disagree with Mike's point because the same things that happened to our ancestors are happening to us. And I have to agree with that because minus slavery, I'm not physically a slave. There's still some residual effects of slavery. But when you think about it, like even during times of slavery, there were lynchings. How many black people have been lynched this year?
Right.
And I never thought that I would see that or that even be mentioned in 2020. Know what I'm saying? When we talk about people being oppressed, people being sprayed, these are things that during, like in the history books we read about, but we never thought that we would actually see these things. People out there peacefully protesting and getting killed or getting tear gas or whatnot. History is like repeating itself. So we've made, like, I'd be a fool to sit here and say that there's no progress being made. Progress has definitely been made, but I think that we have, for every 2 steps we take forward, we take 3 steps back. 45, I refuse even to say his name, so I'm just gonna call him 45. He has empowered racists, in my opinion. When he refused to denounce white supremacy, like they said, hey, right here now, denounce white supremacy. What do you want me to say? I'll say it. He never said it, because he didn't want to hurt his fan base. You know what I'm saying? So again, and this just kind of leads into our next question, which we'll get to in a second. You can also look at it, but like Alvin mentioned him being a dictator, he's already said he ain't gonna leave the White House. Like he's gonna cause a ruckus if we force him out. Yeah, and he's challenging, dude, you lost. The election's over. He still challenges some of those things as well. And I don't know who said this, but I think somebody said that people have changed, meaning that the people we thought were quote unquote allies, like they've changed and they are, finally, because Trump has empowered them, and seeing how they feel. I don't think that they've necessarily changed. I just think now they're showing their true colors, and that's because Trump has made it okay for people to go out, act a fool, and really just, bash the system or whatnot. And we'll get to the next question, guys, but before we do that, we're gonna get to some of the comments. Where are we? And Tina just said pretty much what I What I said, Trump has made some people bold. And they needed a mechanism. They needed a way to make it okay for them to voice their opinion. So between him and now Parler, I guess they found that outlet.
To Tina's point, real quick, Tina was right, but my response to folks that got bold: don't let your past president get your ass whooped. I'm gonna say that now, because look here. These jokers right here rated E for everybody.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's got people fired from their job.
Like that now, because look, I don't even use the N word. I don't expect it thrown at me.
All the time.
I try not to. I'm doing better. Doing better.
Hey, Mike, what were you gonna say?
No, I was saying that talking about people being bold, like you were saying, people are losing their jobs because of things they're saying on the internet. I mean, I've watched a lot of people get fired, because they post things online because they think, oh, the president said this, so I can say
when
it.
keeping it real goes wrong. When keeping it real goes wrong. And Courtney said earlier, I believe Trump normalized inhumanity. That's what I believe he did in this country, and I certainly agree with that. Diane says, I believe overall there's been progress, but racism, of course, still remains. Trump enhanced race issues because of his constant expressions of racism. People followed the leader and just became vocal. And that's crazy because, when you are the leader of the free world and you normalize these things, people are going to think it's okay. But I mean, I think for me, it's a good thing because I finally get to see these people for who they truly are. And getting back to race and politics, as you guys know, Kamala Harris is now the vice president-elect, first woman of color, first woman vice president as well. So definitely history was definitely made last Saturday. But I do want to ask y'all: did Kamala Harris being a woman of color impact the vote? Either way, what do you think?
I think it did.
Whether they voted for her or voted against her.
I think it did because for one, I'm surprised that a black woman hadn't made it that far, at minimum that far before. To me, I've always wanted to see a black woman this is just me now. I've always wanted to see a black woman on the Supreme Court. I'm 37. Never in my day did I would think that I would see a black woman as vice president. And to see her sister as the vice president, meaning that to me, I ain't crying that on this conference, but still, that's awesome. We're gonna get out to see a black woman in that position. I think for black people, it impacted us to say, yo, we seen a brother at president. Now we see a black woman as the vice president elect. We never know. We never have proof again that anything is possible when it comes to politics. So, to me, I really hope that black women everywhere that are even thinking about politics, that they go ahead and do it. Don't care what side of the aisle that you sit on. But as long as you bring ideas to improve the country, go ahead and do it. And there's the question. I absolutely believe that it impacted the vote because we also have to look at it this way. We're going to talk about Kamala Harris. I don't mean that name. We're going to talk about Kamala Harris. We also got to talk about the likes of Stacey Abrams as well because she impacted this vote in one state by herself. So I mean, I think Kamala Harris impacted black women everywhere to be the leaders that I've always felt they are. Also, my mom was a leader, so black women are. To me, I think black women are the strongest leaders that we have today. Brothers, we may want to admit that because there was a huge black man voting for Trump. So black women not so much. Black women are smarter than that. So we may want to sit there and really think about how strong the African American woman is because look at the power that African American women have when we support them like we should. So I believe just her being there impacted the vote to where we can support her. And now All I can say is I hope she steps up and do what needs to be done. Not to look out for African Americans, which I'm pretty sure she will. But do what she's got to do to be a better vice president than what we had the past 2 years. Because Mike Pence was absolutely nowhere to be seen, especially this year during this pandemic. I'm pretty sure first day Kamala Harris will be ready to get it done. So I definitely think that she had a positive impact when it came to the vote.
I would agree. I think it definitely helped. I think if Biden had chose, like Bernie Sanders or somebody else, I don't think it would have encouraged as many people to vote. I think Trump alone, encouraged all the things he's done, encouraged people to vote for Biden. They wouldn't have necessarily voted for him before, but I think it definitely helped. Having Kamala, I think she made a big impact. I think even when in the primaries, she did well, and she really made a name for herself. She's a great speaker. She's a great leader. Some people, I think, were against her because of her previous job. But there was some controversy over that about how she flipped, from what she was doing, and but most of that noise was coming from Trump supporters. When you look at it, people, attorneys flip all the time from being prosecution to defense or defense to prosecution. It happens all the time, no matter who you are. So, but an interesting statistic is that in 2016, of all the people that voted for Hillary Clinton, looking at some exit poll data, so 54% of women said they voted for Clinton in 2016. And in 2020, 57% of women said they voted for Biden. I think if Biden had chosen Bernie Sanders or somebody else, that number would have gone down. I don't think it would have gone up. I think that increase is directly attributed to Kamala being on the ballot.
For me, of course, I do feel that race had an impact on Harris because, well, I'll say two things had an impact on Harris. It was race and her being a woman, because at one point women couldn't vote. At one point, African Americans couldn't vote. And for me, I think Biden was strategic in his move, because when he first picked her, it was like, why he didn't pick Abrams, or why didn't he pick someone else? I think it was like two other people he could have chose, but he was strategic because not only is Kamala Black, she's of Asian descent. So you have two different races that's going to support this candidate. You just not only have the Black woman, and then you have women as well, women that are tired of seeing men as leaders, and women that's fighting for equal rights for women. So of course, I think his move was very strategic, because honestly, I had a debate with someone last week. I think if he would have picked Abrams or another African American, I don't think they would have won. My opinion, I'll stick with it, just because you had a woman that fit this look, because America's all about a look. She has a certain look. She's African American, but she still has a certain look. And then, like I said, she's of Asian descent as well. So of course she had all that. And then she's a smart woman. And like Alvin said, she should make every woman feel like they can do anything at this point. Even for me, after they won, I just felt like I was on top of the world. Like I went to work like I was the CEO. Like I can take over this business. You know what I'm saying? It was empowering for anyone to see, because like I said, being an African American woman, our ancestors couldn't vote, women couldn't vote. That was just like everything. When Obama won, it was good, but for her, so I was happier. I cried when her and Biden. I didn't cry when Obama, but I cried when they said they won on Saturday, because it was just so empowering. Like, okay, women, we can do anything at this point. You know, I'm ready in 4 years for her to run for president, because at this point, we need a woman at this point to run this country, because the men have been doing a terrible job. So, hey, why not let her run for president?
And again, I thank you guys for the commentary, definitely. And you know, a couple things that y'all touched on, man, is like, you know, Tracy, you made a comment that women are tired of seeing men fail this country and tired of seeing men in leadership positions. But damn it, I'm tired of them being there too, because they have done a piss poor job. I don't know if I can attribute that to them so exclusively being men, but at the same time, these are the people who have led us to the point where we are right now. And to Alvin's point, I'm extremely disappointed in the amount of Black men that voted for Donald Trump. I really am. And I don't know what in the hell would make niggas want to vote for Donald Trump anyway. Like, I really don't. Like, it's what has he done or said, you know, that possess you to think that, you know, he's any good for us. So I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know a single Black woman that I know personally that said they voted for Donald Trump. On the flip side, I can count 10 niggas that right now who said openly they voted for Donald Trump. Now, whether they were playing or they were serious, I don't know. But the fact is, to even broach that subject, because it's nothing to joke about, it's nothing to jest about. Like, but the fact is, they did. Why they did what they did, I have no idea. And I think there's something, you know, the only thing, and I said this when Hillary ran for president, you know, 4 years ago. And, you know, the GOP, they were already mad about Barack Obama, primarily because he was Black. I said the only thing worse than a Black president is a woman president, or a woman in the White House. Look at the hate and all the vitriol that Michelle got. She wasn't even the president. She was just the first lady. But look at what she went through with them, calling her a man, calling her all kind of names, calling her ugly, you know, just saying all these mean and hurtful things. And now they're saying the same thing about Kamala. And my screenshot game has gotten real good now. So there are a lot of people who, again, I thought were allies, but I realize now that they're not. But I see it, and they starting already calling her a whole, calling her all kind of different things. So, and for her to be, you know, not only a woman, but to be, you know, Black. You know what I'm saying? So it's for whatever reason they just absolutely hate it. And to get to some of these comments, go ahead, Al.
Real quick, Hook. People got mad at Michelle Obama because she wanted to put healthier food in the schools, and they got mad at her because she wanted kids, you know, to continue to be active while they were at school, you know, to get their exercise and everything. Fox News ran a whole segment on that. I remember watching that years ago. I never forget that. Because matter of fact, they ran that segment like a couple weeks after the Tan Suit segment. That's why I remember.
Yeah. And you know it's bad. You know people are just trying to find something to you know, be mad about. When you mentioned the thing with Michelle, when they mentioned Barack's tan suit, when Michelle wore, you know, a sleeveless getup or whatnot. But then Melania, you know, she's a former porn star, or you know, she got all these nude pictures, whatever she was. You know, the fact is, she got all these nude pictures, and now they want to call it freedom of expression. Go figure, right?
But she
exactly. Alex says Trump becoming president was one of the best things that ever happened. Why? Because he was able to bring out the elephant in the room. I don't think he meant to do it, but him being who he is caused it. I agree wholeheartedly. You know, he made it okay for, you know, this racist rhetoric and divisive rhetoric to occur. And people just, like y'all said earlier, man, people just got bold. That's why I said what I said about listening to people. I read between the lines very well, and you have to with a lot of these politicians, and you know, just with the voting, the entire process. Period, man. This election process has taught me so much. You know, and not that I didn't already know, but because I asked the question earlier, have we progressed or regressed? All I see is regression, to be honest with you. Courtney says, but they want to say shit about Melania. copy Michelle Obama's speech. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like verbatim, word for word, you know what I'm saying? So, but again, and Donald Trump quoted like did he quote Bane album like from a Batman movie? Wasn't it like some quote he said? But he quoted Bane in the movie word for word, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's but again, that's y'all guy, man. That's y'all president. Hey, so let me ask y'all, man, does one's views on race and ethnicity affect their ability to effectively do their job as an elected official?
I say yes, because I guess we got to keep using Trump because he was the last president. He was the one who was
Trash. It was trash. Say it.
you know, so he, like with Trump, how can you effectively do your job or lead this country when you're not fair to everyone? You don't care about the feelings of, and I won't just say African Americans. Trump didn't like anybody that didn't look like him, or then the ones that look like him and had money like him. That's what I'll say. Because anybody else that think Trump care about them, he did not. So how can you effectively run a country like that? You're only going to look out for your people, people of your caliber, people of your color. So to me, how can you do your job? Is you just can't. You cannot run a country when something happens in a community, I'll say with the Mexicans or whomever, and you don't even have compassion enough to or be empathetic or sympathetic. How can you run a country? I mean, it's not all about business. Trump is a businessman. Trump needs to stick to what he knows. Business. But being a president, you have to be a president for the people. Like Biden said, it's enough of the Democrat, Republicans. We're all Americans. So you need to run the country like an American, not like a rich white Republican who cares about no one but himself. And I don't know if you really care about your family or whomever. You can't effectively run a country like that. That's simple. There is no way you can do it.
I agree, and I think it definitely impacts. If you're a politician and you see everything that's going on, that has gone on in this country for the past few years, if your first thing that you're going to say when any of these events happen, where a black person was killed by the police or attacked by the police, or whatever the case may be, we know all the different situations. If as a politician, the first thing you're going to come out and say is to tell people to stop rioting and to stop the violence and to stop all that, you're missing the point. And you're not a politician for the people. You're a politician for the people that you want to vote for you. You're not representing everybody. You have to represent everybody. The first thing you should come out and say is, we got to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's got to be the first. If you're not putting that first, then you're not doing your job. You're not representing everybody. So yeah, it definitely has an impact. I mean, if you're looking at it from that point of view, you're just not doing your job. You're really not. You have to, like me being white, I mean, my eyes have been opened up to a lot over the past few years, that things that, I can't relate to the things that you all go through is being, black people. We're different. I mean, I haven't encountered the same things that you all have encountered with, as far as discrimination and things like that. But I've seen it happen, and I've seen that it's a problem, and I've seen that the majority, in my opinion, the majority of the politicians aren't doing anything about it. They're just letting it slide. They're trying to point fingers. They're trying to, blame. They always, just want to point blame. They don't want to do anything about it. So if they're not looking at everybody and representing all the people they're supposed to represent, then they're not doing their job. So yeah, it definitely affects their ability to do their job, because they're not even doing their job.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I think just about every politician every elected official should come in exactly the way Mike just said it. He got real. He said, I'm white. I can't 100% relate to everything that folks that look like us have gone through, but at least he's seen it. He know it's real. He know it's real. He know it's a real thing. So at the same time, I 100% respect that, because he's willing to say, I know this junk is real. I need to try to do what I can to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So as an elected official, I absolutely believe that race and ethnicity can affect it, because it's almost as if it's happening in one race, and if you're not of that race, I think personally it's going to affect that elected official. Then also as well, I think it's up to some of these elected officials to know who they're representing. If you don't know who you're representing, then how do you know if you're going to be able to do anything for them?
Absolutely. And just a couple things that you guys mentioned. You mentioned that he 45, he doesn't care about anybody except himself or those who look like him. One of the most telling and really confusing things that I noticed is that during the election, he won Florida based on the Latino vote. I don't. I'm like, this is the same guy that doesn't even want you in the country. But, and people, they try to justify saying it was majority Cuban or what. To me, it doesn't even matter. He don't want none of y'all here. He don't even want us here, and we were born here. So, the fact that you still went out, you voted against your own livelihood. You know what I'm saying? So I really, that was confusing and telling at the same time. They like Mike, you may, and again, Mike, I got to commend you. I really appreciate the rhetoric. You as a white man, obviously, you can't, you really you can see what we go through, but you can't, to be in our shoes, you don't know what that's like. And I appreciate you for admitting that. With these politicians, these leaders that we have in office now, they want to write it off as like some figment of our imagination, like we're making it up. And the very first thing they want to bring up is Chicago. They want to bring up black on black crime. They want to bring up, we killing each other. But, when you got, these white men out here shooting up a movie theater, you don't say, look at this white on white crime. You don't admonish that. It's like black on black crime. I really want us to take that out of our vocabulary. Like we don't need it, because crime is crime, no matter who you do it against. And the fact is like, when you do commit a crime, you're going to do it in close proximity to where you live. So if I live around a bunch of black people, I'm gonna rob the people closest to me. It's not like it's not like they do it saying, oh, let me go rob some black people today. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're robbing the people who are in closer proximity. But we don't talk about the Mexicans or the Asians or the white people who do the same thing to their own people. And Courtney says, excuse my language, because she cursed in the previous comment. Don't worry about it, Courtney. We cuss over here, so you good. Arisha says, yes, if you're biased against a group of people, you won't put the same efforts into their needs, obviously. You know what I mean? And that's, and that's really the point I'm getting to. And if you as a voter, if you don't see that, if you don't see that this person that you elect in office isn't going to have the best interests of the entire, country, then you're voting for the wrong guy. Tina says he only cares about rich Caucasian men. I mean, I think he only cares about numero uno. I think he primarily only cares about himself. So, but again, this is all great dialogue, man. All great commentary. For the audience, make sure that you comment. We do want to hear your feedback. And make sure that you like and share it as well, because you may have some people on your timeline who can actually benefit from this conversation. Next question, man. So what has this election specifically taught you about race and politics?
I think some of us kind of touched on that earlier, but it's really brought to light a lot of things. It's like was mentioned earlier, the white folks quite frankly, they're racist. They become more bold and especially in their support of Trump. And then you know, the Trump rallies. You look at all those rallies they had that were nothing more than, let's just come out here and show how racist we are. Honestly, I mean, they weren't about politics. They were about white supremacy, in my opinion. I mean, that's what it was. It's really showing the true colors of a lot of people in their thoughts. You look at but then you look at how the non-white community responds, and it's not attacking them like we talked about earlier. That, for the most part, they're not being attacked, but we responded in right. But the ultimately, when we look at the outcome of the election, what did those rallies do for Trump? It didn't get him a win.
Right.
I mean, for me personally, I look at that like, this is ridiculous. Like, they're going out there and doing all this, and it didn't benefit them. So, it's kind of there's kind of two sides to it, I guess. So on one hand, you can look at it and say, definitely all the racists, but at the same time, the rest of us are like, this is crazy. We're not voting for this guy, and we're going to vote him out. Is what we're going to do, and that's what happened.
I guess for me, it just when it comes to race, it just again just showed how much our country is divided. It shows that I guess, like Tina said, people show their true colors with this election more than any other election. Even when Barack ran, I feel that this election and when Trump became president, people just really showed who they really are. Yesterday, now they declared Biden the winner on Saturday. Yesterday, this town had a Veterans Day program outside, and the people that were there all had these Trump signs saying Trump for president 2020. And I'm like, well, did it not get the memo? Like, what are you doing? So, you still have people, and like I said, they're only doing what he's doing. Maybe if he concedes, maybe his followers will just let it go. But until he does it, they're not going to do it. So the country is just divided right now. And I pray daily that we get back to where we were so that we can go further. I don't want our children to be our age and still dealing with this. It has to stop somewhere. And hopefully Biden and Harris and whomever comes behind them are able to bring the country back together. Everyone isn't going to always get along. Everyone is not going to like everyone. But like they say, we have to live in this country together. So we have to do what we have to do to be Americans and do what's right for each other. It's time out for the division. It's just time. It's too much going on to have division. And when it comes to politics, it taught me that I think all politicians lie, first of all, and people need to understand that. Every president is going to get up there and give you all these promises, what they're going to do, and whatever. But what people don't understand, the president has limited power. He's the president, but that's why you have to vote for the Senate and the House, because they are the lawmakers. The president can only do so much himself. So it taught me that people need to learn more about politics when it comes to the president, because if Trump was in office, he feels he's going to have the Senate and the House majority. So he's going to say, I'm going to do this. The same thing with Biden. He feels that, running, he's going to get the House and Senate majority. So he'll be able to do these things, pass these laws, because he has these people backing him. But without that backing, he can only do so much. So that was something I dig more into with this election, and I put it more out there because I think a lot of people don't realize, because as soon as they said Biden won, he's our president, 2020 president, whatever, all I saw on my timeline was, okay, Biden, what you gonna do about these student loans? We all got student loans. We all want to go away, but Biden can't do but so much with these student loans. I wish if it was that easy, these student loans would have been gone. So you have to understand the process. So I think the more we talk about politics and getting to it as with our generation and pass it on, it'll get better and better.
I think if we want to be technical, I don't think it was just the election that talks about race and politics. I think this entire presidency taught us about race and politics. And the reason is this presidency, with Trump being in office, and you just seen him berate Black women in these press conferences, I'm sitting here thinking, man, how did we just let this fly all this time? Then we take a look at his politics. This dude stood up in front of all those people and clowned a handicapped man. How in the hell did we let it get? How do we let it get this far? But if you know the truly answer the question, what it taught me about race was that just as you know, we've all said, it kind of allowed us, for those that we thought, for those that we thought were cool with us, it allowed us to see their true colors. And those true colors, I mean, you would think that hey, this person's cool. Come to find out they're racist. I mean, it is what it is. I'm glad I found out now at 37, and I can give you these hands. Then at 47, I can give you old man hands and that old man strength. But but when it comes to race, I mean, we know race is still gonna be a problem. It's always gonna be a problem. And to answer Katrina's question real quick, not all Trump supporters are racist, but racists are Trump supporters. So I mean, not how can I put it? Racism basically is alive and well thanks to this. Not just say thanks to this this presidency and this election. We know racism isn't going anywhere. But when it comes to race and politics, as young African Americans, we now know how important our vote is. As independent thinkers, like Mike, we know how important his vote is. I mean, to be honest, race unfortunately goes hand in hand. I mean, and we may not like it, but it does. When election time comes around, they're looking for the African American vote. They're running all these stats, all these demographics. So I mean, there's many lessons that we can learn from race and politics, but we know how important races that are not the Caucasian male and female, how important those votes are. So again, I'm going to go ahead and answer Katrina's question now. I don't think that all Trump supporters are racist. I know a few now. I say his name, Sean Elwood. He's not racist the least bit, but he's Republican, conservative. He voted for Trump. He's not racist at all. He's a good guy. So I can't categorize all Trump supporters as racist because they're not. But I can say this: the majority of racists that are out there, they voted for Donald Trump. I'm not gonna say they make it seem like Democrats are racist as well, because we know the background of the Democratic Party. But the majority of racists are Trump supporters. Jesus Christ, get your little
Yeah, my personal opinion on the matter. Again, I don't think that all Trump supporters or Republicans are racist. I do think that all racists are Trump supporters. Even if we have Democrats who are racist, I don't see them voting for Kamala Harris. Just on the sheer fact that she's not the norm. She's not white. So that's my personal opinion on the matter. And a couple things. Before we move into you guys' closing points, I've learned a lot from this election. But what this election has taught me is what a Proud Boy was, because I had absolutely no idea what a Proud Boy was until this election. So when that speech was given, and Trump would not denounce white supremacy, at that point I learned what a Proud Boy was. So it is what it is. And also, Alex mentioned earlier the Constitution. We the people, right? All men are created equal. That was not written for people who look like me. And I say that because we weren't even considered a whole person back then. We were considered to be 3/5 of a person. So for you to say all men are created equal, we weren't even considered. We were considered property. We weren't considered people. So when they wrote it, again, a play on words, they wrote it, for themselves, not us. They didn't expect slavery to end. Eventually it did. But at the same time, some of these races still see us in that same light. And what I've also learned is that Donald Trump is the Jim Jones of this century. People have really, his followers have really drank the Kool-Aid, and they will follow him they'll follow him to West Hill if he allows them. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody like him I don't see how you can be such a staunch supporter of somebody who is so divisive. But again, it is what it is. And it's just one of those things, man. So Alvin, you had a chance to answer Katrina's question. Mike and Tracy, I'll give you guys a chance to answer as well, and we'll close with that. And do we categorize all Trump supporters as racist? And are we ourselves being racist?
So I'll agree with what y'all have already said. I don't consider them all to be racist. I think you have two types of Trump supporters. You have the racist, and you have the ones that are okay with racism. So it's like they might not be racist, but they've decided, it's like, well, yeah, we just won't talk about it. So we'll ignore that part. And I think one of the biggest reasons I say that not all are racist is because if you look at, again, I'm going to throw out some statistics here, but and this isn't really a surprise, but in 2016, Trump got 80% of the white evangelical Christian vote, which isn't surprising. It did go down a little bit this year to 76%, but half of those went third party. So a Democratic candidate is never going to win the white evangelicals. They're never going to get the majority. You've as someone who was raised by white evangelicals, they're always going to vote Republican. They always are, because they're adamantly, well, let me not open a can of worms. We all know they're adamantly opposed to some one topic in particular that gets people going. So, yeah, there you go. There you have it. That's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, so I don't think they're all racist. I think some of them are just so fixed on one or two topics that they will always vote Republican no matter what. So that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, but like both of you were saying as well, all racists voted for Trump. I do agree with that.
Sure. Tracy, what you got?
No, I don't think all Trump supporters are racist, but because all white people didn't vote for Trump, and black people voted for Trump, so they couldn't be racist against white people. I guess they're black. So I don't think all supporters were racist, but honestly, my opinion, I feel the majority of Trump supporters that are not African American are racist, because he is the leader, and I feel that they support, because I cannot support someone who feels a certain type of way about a person of a different nationality than I am. So to me, if I support you, I feel I'm racist as well, because I'm supporting your thoughts, your ideas, and the way you feel about these people. So if I'm supporting that, then evidently there is some racism in me. So I honestly think that the majority of his supporters are racist. And they get out, and that's why this race was so close, because he has that following of these racist people. That's why he couldn't denounce racism, because think about it. If your fan base or your following wasn't predominantly racist, you would have denounced it. Because if I'm just losing 2-3% of my fan base, that's okay. But if I'm going to lose 60% of my fan base, that's a problem, because I know I will not win this election, and it wouldn't be a close election. So no, there are, they maybe all of them aren't, but the majority of them are, I think.
Okay, fair point. And again, this was great commentary, man. Honestly, this is something we can probably talk about like all night. But I know you guys have things you got to do, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Mike, I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do. Thank you for speaking on behalf of white America. So
Maybe it's not of white America.
and congrats again on the newborn. Mike's got a newborn coming in January, man. So good luck with that. Alvin, again, we appreciate you. I'm gonna ignore the fact that you a Sigma, but you know you still cool. You still good people. So we're gonna leave that alone. Tracy, hopefully I get to see you for Thanksgiving, man. We'll see if the man let me all work. You know, I'll be down there celebrating. But again, this was great commentary, man. And all my black voters out there, what I want you to do is I want you to continue voting, because if our vote is not important, they would not fight so hard to get it. Because we always talk about the black vote. I'm never hear them talk about getting the white vote, getting the Latino vote, getting the Indian vote, getting the Asian vote. We're talking about the black vote. So continue voting, continue voicing your opinion. But again, this was all great dialogue, man. Panelists, I appreciate you for coming on. Audience, thank you for everyone who commented, and we'll be seeing you again real soon. Y'all take care.
Take care.
Good night.